Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So today I have a bit of a book haul to catch you up on. I didn't think it was that bad until I started rearranging my shelves and came across a pile and then realized at least two of the books that I've bought I already had. So we need to put the kibosh on buying books because I'm good. I'm good. It's plenty. All right, so let's see. First one, let's talk about the ones I have purchased. Let's go with Book Outlet first. How about that? So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Holdout by Graham Moore. This was my my February book of the month pick. I'm having a hard time explaining this book, but something happens. There's a trial at the beginning of it, and one specific juror kind of talks all the other jurors into going with a not guilty verdict. And then 10 years later, there's an investigation into this original trial where that juror is now a defense attorney. They're bringing all the jurors kind of back together, and another juror is found dead in her hotel room. And it kind of goes into the secrets and like the kind of jury side of a trial. So it's not true, but it sounds really interesting. My March book of the month pick was The Splendid Vial by Erik Larson. I was on the fence about this, honestly. I wasn't sure because I'm not a fan of The Devil in the White City. But when I kind of thought about things, I'm not a fan of the very in-depth details he went into around the World's Fair, but I did love the parts of Devil in the White City that talked about serial killers. So, like, you know what? It's not like I hated the whole book. So I'm going to give this one a shot. I've also heard really good things about it, but I didn't realize it was so big. Anyways, The Splendid Vial follows Winston Churchill and how he survived and what he did during World War II. So there are some cool pictures, and hold on, don't you worry, it's in here. Map. So I did read a couple of pages on Amazon. They do the first, you can read the first few pages or whatever. And sounded good, so that's what I picked up for March. And then I did join in with a few of my friends, and we signed up for the Book of the Month book club option that is out there now. So for that, we decided to pick Writers and Lovers by Lily King. And I don't even remember what it's about. Let's see. Blindsided by her mother's sudden death and wrecked by a recent love affair, Casey Peabody has arrived in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the summer of 1997 without a plan. Her mail consists of wedding invitations and final notices from debt collectors. A former child golf prodigy, she now waits tables at Harvard Square and rents a tiny, moldy room at the side of a garage where she works on a novel she's been writing for 6 years. At 31, Casey is still clutching onto something nearly all her old friends have let go of, the determination to live a creative life. When she falls for two very different men at the same time, her world fractures even more. Casey's fight to fulfill her ambitions and balance the conflicting demands of art and life is challenged in ways that push her to the brink. Ooh, and they're short chapters, guys. Oh, short chapters. Yes. Yes. So we still have to figure out when we're going to read that as a group. We got to figure that out. So anyway. Okay, so I ended up having to put in, or not having to, but my book club at work decided they want to read Chip Gaines' new book called Capital Gains. Not newer. It's been out for a little bit. And so we were kind of figuring out where to buy it, and I happened to have checked Book Outlet, and it was only like $3 on there. So we went in together to buy the book, but I wasn't quite at my $35 to get free shipping, which I insisted on getting free shipping. So I bought some other books to get to that point, right? First one I'm going to talk about is Famous in a Small Town by Emma Mills. First of all, this cover, glorious. This follows our main character, Sophie. Small town life has never felt small, with her four best friends loving, infuriating, and all she could ever ask for. She can weather any storm. But when Sophie's beloved Acadia High School marching band is selected to march in the upcoming Rose Parade, it's her job to get them all the way to LA. Her plan: to persuade country singer Megan Pleasant, their Midwest town's only claim to fame, to come back to Acadia to headline a fundraising festival. The only problem is that Megan has very publicly sworn never to return. Sounds interesting. But I've been wanting to read Emma Mills. I've heard good things about her, so that's why I picked that up. So the next book I picked up is Young Jane Young by Gabrielle Zevin. This has some political intrigue as far as I'm concerned. So we have our main character, Aviva Grossman. She is a very ambitious congressional intern in Florida. She has a lot of political aspirations ahead of her, but she makes the mistake of having an affair with her married boss. The affair comes to light and basically everybody blames her. So she moves to Maine and changes her name and soon finds herself kind of within this political realm again, where the past of course is unburied and she has to explain things to her daughter. So it sounds really, really interesting. The next one I picked up I'm really, really interested in, and I haven't heard a lot about this book. It's The Last Runaway by Tracy Chevalier, I think that's her name. She wrote Girl with a Pearl Earring, which I have not read, but very popular book. This takes place in Ohio in 1850, and there is our main character. Her name is Honor Bright. She's kind of forced to fend for herself because of some sort of family tragedy, and she finds herself being brought into this network of the Underground Railroad to help slaves who are escaping to freedom. So again, a subject I really want to read more of, so I'm excited for that. And it seems like a short little book, so pick that up. The next one I grabbed kind of out of order, but it was on Book Outlet. It's a really good price. I have Obsidian. It is the third book in the Illuminae series. I do not have Gemina yet, but I do plan on reading Illuminae. We picked that, I think, for one of my book clubs for May. But I'm really excited because I just love this format. It's so unique. It's so different. So I'm excited to get started. I have a feeling it's one of those I'm just going to want to continue on with the series once we go. The next one I have, I don't really know how to classify this book. Maybe thriller? This one says sci-fi mystery. It's called The Echo Room by Parker Peavyhouse. This follows Rhett Ward, who is 6 years old, and he is going to a boarding school. It's a state-run boarding school, so it's not the best place to be. He's had years of practicing how to hide very well just to kind of save himself. One day he wakes up in a small little room with no memory of how he got there. He has no clue who the stranger is in the room next to him, and he has a jumpsuit on with someone else's blood on it. He does try to escape, but every time he does, he wakes up right back in that room with that same stranger, that same bloodstained jumpsuit, all of the same stuff. It sounds like memories kind of start to come back to him, and there's different logos that are on the walls, so he's just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So it sounds intriguing. There are different illustrations kind of throughout the book that has me kind of interested. So I don't know. It caught my attention. The last one I picked up from Book Outlet is How to Make Friends with the Dark by Kathleen Glasgow. This follows our main character, Tiger, who had an amazing relationship with her mom, and then her mom suddenly passes away. So it kind of goes through how she deals with that tragedy. So that was my Book Outlet haul, as well as my Chip Gaines book, which I have no clue where it is right now.
Oh, it's in there.
The next two books I picked up when my girlfriends and I went to Milwaukee for a day, and we learned how to make homemade pasta. We ate an amazing lunch, we did some shopping, and we found a bookstore, of course. So I picked up a couple of books because I'm always happy to support independent bookstores. The first one I grabbed was The Current by Tim Johnston. I have never heard of Tim Johnston. I have not heard of, I don't know, I've never seen this book before, but it sounds amazing. So, dead of winter in a small Minnesota town, state troopers pull two young women from an icy river. One of them survives. News of the crime, for this was not an accident, awakens the community's memories of another young woman who lost her life in the same river 10 years earlier. Dun dun dun. So that sounded amazing. And then I also picked up A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Tolles. I don't know. 1922, 30-year-old Count Alexander Rostov is deemed an unrepentant aristocrat, and he's sentenced to house arrest. So this has been around. I've heard really great things about it, so I picked that up. Then let's talk about the books that I have acquired for free. One of them was sent to me from I think it's the Cookbook Book Club. It is a place where you can sign up and submit you sign up your book club to receive advanced reader copies, or finished copies in this case, of books for the entire book club to read together and review. And so we were just given Lost Boy Found by Kirsten Alexander. This takes place in 1913, where how old is he? A 2-year-old little boy walks off and he isn't found again. His parents are quite wealthy, and so they do anything and everything they can to try to find this little boy. I mean, the reward continues to grow over time, and they can't find him. And then I think it's 4 years later, this child shows up, and they think it's him, but yet another mother comes out of and says, but no, that's my child. So there's 2 moms fighting over the same little boy, trying to figure out who he really is and where he really came from. But it sounds really good. The next 4 books I was given by a really awesome friend of mine. Thank you, Amber. As she was kind of cleaning out her bookshelf. So the first one I got was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. I don't even need to know anything else about this because it's Christina Lauren. It's going to be some sort of love story. I don't care. I'm going to read it. It's going to be fantastic. The next book she gave me was Dear Haiti, Love Elaine. This follows our main character, Elaine, who had some sort of mix-up, or some mistake was made during a school presentation. It went really, really wrong, and it says in parentheses, don't ask. It's referred to as the incident. Not sure what it is. But she is shipped off to Haiti as a spring volunteer immersion project person. So she has to go live there, do what she's told as kind of her punishment, and go from there. So this sounds interesting, and I think it's written, from what I was looking, it's written again in a really cool way. So excited for that one. The next book she gave me was The Road to Delano by John DeSimone. This follows our high school senior, Jack, who all he wants to do is get away from this small town. He just wants to get out. His father was a grape farmer or grape grower. He died 10 years earlier. He's just ready to be done with this town. He suspects that there is more to his father's death than what he's being told, but he's not sure. His mom really isn't talking about it. His family property is actually up for sale. He ends up driving his combine into town one day because he's selling it, and an old friend of his father stops him and talks to him, and it gives him some information that leads Jack to believe that his father was really murdered. So then he goes kind of down this path of trying to figure out what happened to his dad. So again, sounds really, really great. The last book I grabbed is called The Moonshiners Daughter by Donna Everhart. This follows our main character, what is her name? Jessie. She lives in North Carolina, and her family has been making moonshine for years and years, and she has no interest of it or about it. She blames moonshine as the cause of her mother's death dozens of years ago. Her father refuses to speak about her mom, but Jessie is like continuing again to try to figure out what happened to her. She blames the moonshining business, so she kind of starts destroying their stills and blames it on the neighbors, but that kind of brings up this old rivalry that had been around for a number of years, and so kind of sparks this feud that, again, not good. Kind of sounds like daughter dealing with her mother's death. It sounds like there's some secrets that are out there that maybe some people don't want revealed, and I love the cover. So I picked that one up too from her. So anyways, not too bad of a haul. Decent enough though that we need to take a break. Plenty of books behind me to catch up on. Otherwise, what have you bought lately? Leave a comment below. Have you been picking up any books for this potential of being at home a lot more lately? I haven't, because I have plenty. But just, yeah, comment below what books have you been picking up. Always like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.